Okay, so I've cleaned my contacts on my stator, and now I have also removed the burnt plastic that was on this brush. So now we're going to remove these and insert the other ones. I'm going to desolder them versus cutting, I think. I'm using a 25-watt iron and some comparable solder. That's one of my points of fail, is that sometimes in the process of this motor operating, the solder actually heats up and lets go. So I should probably use a heavier solder and a more powerful iron. So I've got the old ones out, and I will tin my new wires, and I'm going to put my hemostats on to keep the solder from running up the lead. Solder is bought from Radio Shack in 1980 something. So tin that lead, add a little bit more to our existing. Again, putting the hemostats on just to keep the solder from running up. What will happen if you don't use some kind of a heat sink on it, what will happen is the solder will run up the lead and just make it stiff and cause you some problems down the line. So we just need it on the ends. Alright, so let's try to attempt to do these. I'm going to put the short lead on the side with the existing high temperature shutoff. Doesn't look like we're getting good heat transfer. See what's happening here. Seems to be doing okay. You don't want to keep a soldering iron on the area too long because it starts burning things and melting other components. That seems to be alright. I'll come back and check that one in just a second after it cools off a little bit. I don't know if you're able to see that okay. get the idea of what's happening. Basically, we're connecting two wires with some hot solder. That seems to be okay. This one also. So now what we're going to do is put some springs in these guys and put the bigger spring in there. Got different springs from different things. I guess they come with the brushes. And run over and get my special tool. You guys may have other ways of doing this, but this is how I choose to do it. I use a pipe, something that's round that fits in there to keep my spring action happening. Maybe we should have got the lead a little longer on that one. There we go. These are not the brushes designed for this. I just buy something similar or a little bit oversized usually so that I can cut it down. The original brushes actually have the wire coming out of the top, which helps. Most of the ones I've been able to find here are coming out the back. You want to make sure it's got ease of travel so that it can pop out when it needs to. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate these brushes with my fingers, and I'm going to insert my pipe, and that holds the brushes in place and will allow me to put it back in the housing. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our stator and slide it into our housing. Be careful because the force of the magnet will pinch your fingers. So now she's in, and this is what we're working with. So at this point, I'm going to take the pipe, line it up with the bearings, and slide that over. I have to line up my tang. You can see the little tang here with this notch. What I need is 6 hands. Okay, give me just a second and let me, what I'm having a problem with is this right here is, because I'm forcing down, it's coming loose, so I need to get something here to secure this, so give me just a second. So I'm going to attempt to take an old bungee cord here and see if I can't hold this into place one way or another. Brute force and awkwardness. Get this out of the way before we scrape some skin off our knuckles. I think the bungee is all bungeed out. So I've taken a tarp bungee just to secure the diaphragm or the pump head on, and now I'm going to try to reinsert the brush assembly. Again, using my fine tool, the pipe. We're going to line that up with the bearing, line our tang up, and slide, hopefully ever so gracefully. Again, if there's a better way to do this, please, somebody leave me a comment. So, got that on. And now this little guy, kind of a stabilizer for the bearing to sit in. More brute force and awkwardness. Normally what I have to do with this is get it just about all the way in and then come around with something and just gingerly tap it into place. You don't want to bend it or crush it all up. Again, if there is a better way to do this, please somebody let me know. But this is the way I've had to do it for about 10 times. Alright. That creature you hear in the background is my doggy Thunder, who's patiently waiting for me to finish this so that he can eat his lunch. Okay, so I was able to get the stabilizer in here with more brute force and awkwardness and a different tool to bang on it. Got it into place. Looks like it's getting about time to extend that lead. We'll do that on the next repair. I'm going to put my, not even sure what this is in reality. Maybe a dust cover. But she's managed to survive all the repairs, so back in she goes. And then it's just a matter of putting the 2 screws back in, and we'll get it screwed up together, and go give it a quick test on the batteries just to make sure we're making contact, and then we'll hook it up to some water, make sure she's actually pumping. So I'll get these screws in and I'll see you in just a minute. Okay, got my fuse on my lead, and at this point I just really want to check and see if the motor turns over. So I've got my negative lead connected. Okay, so my motor turns over.